No, of course we don't. Because no matter how many billions Steve Jobs had, he didn't have his health, did he? And do you think in his profession, with his major company, did Steve Jobs have a bit of stress in his life, do you think? I think so too. I think he had an overwhelming amount of stress. I can't imagine being at that capacity professionally to take on that responsibility. But I guess people have to do it, right? And they have to own that stress too. So here's the question. What do you think the number one most important factor is that determines your health? was overweight. I had brain fog. I didn't sleep well. My body hurt in the morning. And I didn't really know why, but that was me. And then I got married and I tried to make a family, and I tried to make this person. And that was a struggle. I will tell you, it was a struggle. At 29 weeks, they told me, Helena, you are preeclamptic. I'm sorry, you're going to have to be on bed rest for as long as we can keep this child in. So I was on bed rest for 3 weeks, and I ended up still having to have an emergency C-section. So she was born at 2 pounds 14 ounces, 32 weeks and 4 days or something like that, gestation. And she was little for even that gestation period. So if that doesn't wake Mama Bear up to what's maybe going on here, and can I tell you how stressful that was? My first baby, not knowing what's going on. I had to lay on my left side to keep my blood pressure low. It was emotionally and mentally stressful for me. And I didn't know how to handle that because I was just there by myself while my husband worked, and I had to make the best of it. But those are signs and symptoms of a not well body, a body that's not in good working order. And then you add that emotional stress onto that, and you've got a big problem. I had blood pressure problems for up to 6 weeks after that emergency C-section delivery. Okay? So that's my story, and that woke me up. It woke me up so much so that after that I decided I need to do something different. Because like I said, I was working in the hospital. I was an acute care respiratory therapist for 20 years. And I knew I didn't want to end up like the people I was working with in the hospital, that I was having to take care of month after month, year after year, that just, I had to watch them get gradually worse in their health until eventually I had to put them on life support. And then eventually I had to take them off of life support and hug their families and tell them I'm sorry, right? So this birth and this experience really woke me up to my reality today. So here's the problem. Stress is one of the leading causes of death in America. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? You didn't know that, did you? Stress is the main cause of 60% of all human illness and disease. So it's a root cause, right? The doctor may give you a diagnosis. He's not going to give you a diagnosis of stress, but trust and believe there's stress involved. Okay, 60% of all human illness and disease. Chronic stress is defined as 3 months or longer. We just went through 2 years of chronic stress, didn't we? This world went completely crazy for 2 years. And whether you realized it or not, whether you felt like you were handling it good or not, it was affecting us, right? Chronic stress, responsible for an increase in heart disease by 40% and an increase in stroke by 50%. The American Academy of Psychology, they say that we have 4 main areas of stress in our lives. One being work environment, right? Would you agree with that? Yes or yes? Yes. Money, would you agree with that? Yes or yes? Especially right now with the price of gas and inflation. Family problems. Yeah? We've all got them somewhere, right? And health problems. Those are the 4. Raise your hand if you've experienced one or more of these 4 areas of stress in your life. Yeah, it's all of us. It's everybody watching, and it's all of us here. We certainly have. So I'm just curious, because that's who I am. I'm curious. I'm curious if you've ever been, anybody work an office job or a job where you've got a lot of coworkers hanging around? I used to in the hospital. There was always people. So imagine you're at the job in the office and you're having a really stressful day, right? For me in the hospital, it was like too many people, too many codes, too many, my pagers going off, And imagine your coworker wants to come and complain to you, or they want to just talk to you again because they just want to talk, and you just stand there like, right? Have you ever felt like that? That you're just done, and you can't even connect with that person. You can't even engage in that conversation because you're just done. You're far too stressed. Or what about when you leave the job? Do you take that stress home with you? Or do you leave it at the office? You take it home, right? We're human. It's very hard to leave it at the office. Some really talented people probably can do it, but most of us, we end up taking it home with us. And then if you're like me and you have kids at home, when you walk in the door, it's like, mom, mommy, mom, 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 mama, mom, mommy. That's kind of what it's like. Or if you have animals and they want your attention. You know, everybody needs mom or dad, and they need your attention, and you're just done. You can't give them the attention that they need. You can't, you're just done. You just want nothing more than to just maybe go in your bedroom and shut the door, right? Far too many of us are overly stressed, and that's exactly how we feel. Or maybe, unfortunately, you may snap at your spouse or snap at your kids when you really don't mean to because you're just so irritable. Yeah? Can you guys relate to that? Yeah. It's a big deal. So our body is impacted by 3 different types of stress. We're going to talk about those 3 different types of stress, what they are, and then I'm going to tell you some solutions on how to help you in your everyday lives to handle that stress better. Okay? Sound good? Chemical stress. This is a big one because we live in a toxic soup bowl. That's what I call it. Everywhere we go, there's toxins being emitted to us, or we're putting them on our skin in our skincare products, our beauty products, our cosmetics, our hair care products. We're eating it in our food, such as artificial sweeteners, things like aspartame and sucralose. Those are artificial sweeteners. Those are neurotoxic. Okay, they affect the nervous system negatively. And when that happens, do you think you're going to feel good? Do you think you're going to function optimally when your nervous system really is functioning on chemicals and electricity? But you have these toxic chemicals added in, that's going to disrupt function, right? Does that make sense? We've got these planes in our skies that are shooting out God knows what. You ever seen them? They crisscross across our sky. When I was a kid, it was never like that. If I was a kid and I laid on the grass, I remember laying on the grass and looking up at the blue sky when there was no clouds, and it was blue. It was just beautiful blue. And now you really don't get that as often because you've got these streaks. And what is that? I dare say it's probably chemical in nature or metal in nature. Some people feel they can prove it, but that's what it is, and that stuff has to filter down, right? Our water supply, albeit, the Board of Water and Light does what they do, but they do put over 50 chemicals in our water supply that we cannot taste or smell. One being fluoride, right? They sold us that fluoride was good for our teeth, right? I was a Crest kid. I did all the fluoride treatments, all of the toothbrushing, and with the Crest as a kid, still got cavities, many cavities. Okay, it never prevented that, but that's what they sold it to us as, and then they put it in our water. But fluoride is neurotoxic. It also calcifies your pineal gland. Kind of not a good thing, right? So we have to learn where the chemicals are and how to avoid them. They used to put fire retardant on little kids' clothing. Their pajamas. They don't do that anymore, but there for a while when my kids were little, they would put fire retardant on pajamas as if it would help prevent children in house fires. That's what I guess, right? They would have a tag on there. But how toxic is that? It's in the clothing. Can I wash it out? I guess I can't wash it out because what would be the point, right? Chemical stressors are everywhere. So learning how to decrease your toxic load And we do a great workshop on that as well, on how to detox, why you should detox. So in the future, when you see that come up, please make sure you're here or at the other office for that, because that's really important to learn how to detox your body thoroughly every year, at least once a year, sometimes depending on your history, maybe more often. Okay? Chemical stressors. Mental stress is what I was just talking about, emotional stress with my daughter, and going through that pregnancy. But mental and emotional stress is something that is so prominent right now, particularly with our children and young people. With everything that we've been through in the past couple years, I can't imagine being a young kid and being put into that much fear for that long, right? Fear is toxic and it's suppressive, it's inflammatory, right? People who are in fear have a hard time to get well, very hard time to get well and stay well. And that kind of emotional stress over time creates disease. It can absolutely cause disease in the body. It's part of the 60% of human illness and disease. Emotional stress, sometimes what happens is people end up in fight or flight all the time. Do you know what I mean by that? You ever heard that term, fight or flight? That's when you kick it into overdrive because the lion is chasing you. You get into a stressful situation, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your blood sugar goes up, your cholesterol goes up, all of it, right? That's how you're designed. Because your body is in a heightened state, reactive state that you need to go, right? It's almost like the lion is chasing you. You got to go. But you're only meant to go there up and then come right back down. But for some of us, we go there and we stay there. We're in overdrive all the time, and it's very exhausting, okay? And that's really due to oftentimes a toxic load and the nutritional deficiencies, right? We can't regulate that response well. And then after that, we get this huge crash in our energy, our mental capacity. You know, people will say, I'm just exhausted today. I'm emotionally exhausted. That's what that is. You get this heightened sense of stress or fear, and then you crash, right? Physical stress. Physical stress on the body is something like a car crash, right? That's a common known thing. That's physical stress on the body. But what about your posture? What about the way you sit at your desk all day? What about those people who always say, well, I put my hip out, or I moved wrong, right? Physical stress on the body, it's not just about going to the gym and feeling sore the next morning. This is about structurally, are you sound? Physical stress, if you're sitting at a desk all day and your posture is not good, you're going to get a lot of tension in your upper back and shoulder blades. It also can travel down the spine to the lower spine, and you can experience sciatic nerve pain, among other things. And so physical stress is much more than what we term it to be. The more stress you have in the body, the less your body functions, right? And so less movement within the spine and in your structure can cause more stress on the nervous system. You're basically impeding the nerve pathways from your brain down to your organs, right? That's kind of how the body functions. Starts up here in the brain and goes to the spinal cord, the vertebrae, the nervous system, and organs. That's how it functions. So if you have physical stress that's impeding that function, then you're going to have symptoms. You're going to have a disease process that may begin. Okay, does that make sense? Yes or yes? You guys awake? Okay, good. Did you guys know your head is 12 pounds? 12 pounds, your head, on average. And so what are most teenagers doing and a lot of adults lately? Well, in the last decade. We're looking down at our phones, right? So do yourself a favor and hold your devices up. So here's the solution. Cut out processed foods. We all know that. But do we really do it? Cut out processed foods. Like what? Like what, Helena? What are processed foods? Well, all the drive-thrus for sure, right? All the drive-thru fast foods. 90% of what's in the middle of your grocery store is processed foods, right? They have preservatives in them, like the artificial sweeteners, or other like preservatives like sodium benzoate. A lot of it has MSG in it, so you have to be aware of the chemicals in your food. So cleaning up your diet, just eating good protein, good veg, healthy fat, some fruit will help you eliminate that toxic load greatly. Right now is a great time to do that because our farmers markets are getting going, and we'll have a lot of fresh produce coming out right quickly here in our state. So that's a great time for that. Ditching canola oil for better quality oil. So what does that look like? That looks like olive oil, butter, maybe avocado oil, coconut oil, flax oil, sesame oil. Okay, staying away from the canola oil. There's not even a canola plant. Did you guys know that? Canola oil does not come from a plant called canola. Canola oil comes from a plant called rapeseed. And drink plenty of clean water. Clean water. So don't drink from the city water tap. You're going to have to filter it somehow. I use a Berkey, but I will tell you I change the filters more often than they say to change them. You could do distilled water. Add some minerals to it. You can talk to me later if you want to know more about how to do that. But make sure you're drinking clean water. And if you can't get distilled or a filtered, then bottled spring water is fine. Mountain Valley is a good quality glass bottle water, okay, if you need that. Any questions about that? Is that helpful? Okay. Solutions to mental stress, emotional stress. My grandfather died a couple months ago. And I knew it was coming. He was in his 90s, late 90s, and I'm grateful he didn't suffer. He just died. Just one day just died. And he had all of his faculties, and he was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful grandfather. But then came the problem of what to do with grandma, right? Have you guys ever been in this situation? This is a tough situation, knowing what to do with grandparents and or parents. Obviously my grandmother's in her 90s. Also, we didn't want to put her in a home. She's pretty much independent. Is a whole different ball of wax. So yeah, it's talk about emotional and mental stress. It has been a challenge for all of us, including her. She lost her husband and her home, and I can't imagine what that's like in your 90s. And my parents are, not in the best of health either, so they have their own health challenges, so you've got 3 of them. And my sister and I are just trying to really tackle this and keep ourselves sane. So what do? A lot of prayer and meditation. I need that first thing in the morning to calm my mind, figure out problems, get solutions, whatever it is. But take that time for yourself to calm your mind and do that. Pray, meditate, positive speaking to yourself really, really helps with that. Exercise, getting those endorphins going, moving, it always feels better. It doesn't even matter if it's just a walk, a 30-minute walk outside, or on a treadmill at home if you have that, whatever it is, but move your body. In order to really, truly be healthy, you have to move well, eat well, and think well. That's really all you've got to do. You got to good food in the tank, get your body moving, because if you don't use it, you lose it, and think well, positive thoughts. Okay? Turn off the news. Would anybody agree with me that that's probably a good idea if you want good mental health? Turn off the news. It'll drive you batty. It's nothing but negativity, nothing but scary sherry. Turn it off. You don't need it. You don't need it. Or turn it on for the weather, and that might not even be right. Okay? You know, that might be completely wrong by the time you get through your day. But you don't need it. Definitely limit your social media. That for sure can stress people out to the max. People get addicted to that. They can't stand it if they don't know what the next thing is. And it's a big, big problem for people to try to keep their sanity and their well-being, their mental thoughts, if they're constantly staring at that. Because there's so much drama that goes on within social media. Okay? And positive affirmations I already talked about, but I will share one of my favorite ones with you, and I hope you use it, so you might want to write it down if you haven't already heard this. But what I try to say to myself every morning, even if my morning does not go the way I planned it, is things are working out for me. Things are working out for me. And even if I don't believe it right then and there, I try to say it with more emotion. Things are working out for me. I'm so grateful that things are working out for me. Because really they are. It may not be in your timing, but things are really working out for you. Yeah? That's good, isn't it? That's good. One of my very dear friends shared that with me years ago, and I try and do it every day. Especially when I get frustrated, especially when life tries to throw me a ringer, right? Man, I'm grateful. The more we complain, we get more to complain about, don't we? So I try to combat that instant thought of complaining about something that's not going my way with that. Things are working out for me. Doesn't matter. It'll work it out. Something will work out. It's always working out, okay? Physical stress solutions. Good posture. If you don't know what that is, you need to talk to a good chiropractor. I happen to know a few. All right? But shoulders back and down. I do know that. Head up. Don't look at your phone like that and bend over. You know, good posture. There's a lot to be said for that. I didn't always have good posture because, like I said, I worked in the hospital for 20 years. So my whole life, 20 years spent leaning over patients. I didn't have good posture, and I had to get that corrected. And I did do that through chiropractic care. Exercise helps with physical stress, right? Stronger muscles keep the structure stronger, keep the stress level down, the inflammation down. Stretching is always good, right? Because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? I'm not as flexible as I once was, but I want to keep some level of flexibility. I want to be able to bend over and touch my toes, right? That's a good thing to do. So chiropractic care, stretching, exercise, just move. Move, move. Yes? Yes or yes? Okay, good. Good. All right. Can I be real with you? Real quick. You and I, we have 3 outcomes in this life. 3. The first outcome is we're going to grow older, but we may be taken out by heart disease or cancer, because those are the top 2 causes of death. We're going to leave our family struggling, you know, not knowing if we could have done something different. Outcome number 2, we're going to grow old, maybe like my grandma, but we may not know our family. We may be in a home with a diaper, maybe drooling on ourselves, having to be completely dependent on other people to take care of us. Outcome number 3, we grow old like my grandma and my grandpa, who before COVID, by the way, they were dancing twice a week. They were very functional, active 90-year-olds. Twice a week. It was just a shuffle. See, there I did do a dance. But they were dancing. To them it was fun. It was social. They had friends. But COVID hit, shut everything down, and they sat in their house for 2 years. And debilitated. Well, at least Grandpa did, to a certain degree. But he didn't suffer, so that was good. I didn't want him to suffer. Those are your 3 outcomes. Which one do you want to be, by the way? 1, 2, or 3? 3? Me too. That's my goal. But in order to get to 3, we have to come out of awareness and into action, don't we? We have to take action steps. We can't do the same thing we've always done, right? That's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? We can't do the same thing we've always done. We have to come out of action, or out of awareness and into action. So I'm hoping tonight is not just the end for you, like you walk out these doors and you're back on to life, but I want it to be the beginning. And even if you're on a good nutrition plan, we always can just be refocused, right? In our purpose, in what we're doing and why we're doing it. We can always get that reboost, right? Reboot of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Don't you think? Yeah, me too. However, you do have a choice. We all have choices in life, right? So if you're listening at home, you have a choice too. You have a choice to do nothing. You could take this information. You can choose to do nothing. But I will tell you, 2 years down the road, 6 months maybe down the road, and your condition gets worse, then what? Will you look back at tonight and you're sitting at home and you're thinking to yourself, I should take action, but I don't know, right? Would you look back at that and regret it? Probably. Because we have the pain of regret or the pain of discipline, right? It does take some discipline to make better choices and keep those choices in and do the right thing rather than lackadaisical. That doesn't take much discipline. But that's where we're at. So let me tell you about the action plan, okay? The action plan involves, if you're listening at home and you are not a current patient of ours and you would like to take that action step to get your health in check once and for all and stop the degeneration that you're having happen to you, this is what it looks like. The action step is a nutritional evaluation from me that is tailored specifically to your needs. It's a 2-visit initial consultation. The first visit involves some clinical testing, and then the second visit is called report of findings. You come back and we report our findings, our clinical findings to you, and how our programs work, and what your responsibility is as a patient in our office. And because I love my community and I'm on purpose and it's a joyful obligation for me to do this work, I want to offer you that clinical assessment for just $75. It's normally $175, but because you're watching at home or you're here tonight and you don't have a plan yet, now's the time. Now's the time to take action, because you don't want to look back and go shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? And you certainly don't want to wait for that diagnosis. We all know what it is, right? You don't want that one, because then you're stuck with making decisions out of fear. And that's never a good state to make a decision. Agreed? Yes or yes? Yeah. I don't ever want to make a decision out of fear. I want to have choices. I want to have options, all right? I want to know that I'm already working on it. Whatever it is, I'm already taking action steps to work on it. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to ramp up, whatever it is, right? I don't want to wait until I get that diagnosis. So nutrition response testing is the key. It's the tool that I use to help people put the body in better working order. That's really what we do. We give the body the right nutrition in order to help the organs work better, which puts the body itself in better working order. That sounds super good, right? I want my car in good working order, right? I want my car to work so I can go from point A to point B. Some people take better care of their cars than they do their bodies. Why is that, do you think? Especially men, right? Especially men. You know who you are out there. Why is that? Do we want to end up like Steve Jobs? We could be raking in billions, living the fat life, right? Yachts, and then just not be well. Can't take it with you, right? Very good. Let's see if I have any other talk about that. All right, I'm going to leave you with this last story. There was a guy in his 40s, and every year for his birthday, he took his family out to dinner. And he wrote up this list of wishes for his birthday. So for every birthday, every year he was alive, he's got wishes. So he's 40, and he's got 40 wishes. Okay? Isn't that cool? That's a kind of a cool tradition. So his next birthday comes, he's 41, and he makes his list of 41 wishes, and they get together and they celebrate him. And then 42 comes, and they all go to dinner to celebrate him, and he's got one wish on his list. And that wish is to have his health back. That's pretty powerful, huh? I don't want to be that. I don't want to be there. I don't want my community to be there. I don't want you to be there. I want you to keep making your list longer and longer and longer until one day you're 98, almost 99. You might want to make it to 100, but you're gone, right? Or you go to sleep and you just don't wake up. That sounds pretty darn tootin' good, doesn't it? If you got to go, that's how you want to go. You've lived a good, long life. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but if you put action into it, you have a whole better chance, don't you? Yeah. All right. Well, everyone at home, thank you for listening. If you've tuned in and stuck around with me, the offer does stand for you. All you have to do is call the office, either office tomorrow morning, or you could just leave us a comment in the comment section or inbox us on our social media page, and we can extend that offer to you. So thank you. If you have any questions, you can leave those as well, and I will get back to that. All righty. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for attending. Appreciate it.